I had bought my first house in my early 20s and lived alone. I was content and at peace living alone and decided to buy a house out in the country as opposed to the urban setting my apartment was located in. I had a few neighbors, but most kept to themselves as I did. As well, the house was a ranch-style home, which meant that there was no second floor, only a basement in first floor. The master bedroom was on the back side of the house, looking straight into the small backyard and then nothing but woods beyond that. Since the basement was underground, the outside entry door had what is referred to, which is composed of two steel doors that swing out to each side, then a set of steps taking you down to a standard size entry door into the basement of the house. I normally don't keep those Bilco exterior doors locked, in case I need to get into the basement from the backyard during the winter. Though I don't need to get in or out of the basement, so I lock those doors and sometimes even in the fall as well. The first 2 years were quite peaceful and enjoyable. I could walk out my back door and go hunting in the woods behind my house. I would get up in the mornings on days off and just open my garage door from sunrise to sunset with no issues at all. With anyone coming around uninvited, I worked a rotating 12-hour day-night shift schedule which was brutal to get used to. I often had trouble switching from night shift to day shift, either sleeping too much or not enough. But the work schedule repeated itself in a pattern, so it was nice to at least plan days off in advance. One particular night in December, I had just finished my 3 work days of night shift. It was hard trying to fall asleep at night on that first night off, but it was essential to get my body back to sleeping at night again, change back to day shift work schedule, which I needed for the following 3 days. This first transition night, I would typically sleep very lightly. It had been snowing outside since dark, which was around 5 p.m. and a few inches were already on the ground by the time I went to bed around 11 p.m. and I fell asleep. Within the hour I woke up around 3 a.m. and the house was dead silent. I lay there in the complete darkness, hoping I would drift right back to sleep soon. But after just 2 to 3 minutes, I heard a violent banging right outside my bedroom window. I recognized the sound as someone trying to open the locked basement Bilco doors. I jumped out of bed and ran down the long hallway to the opposite end of the house where the rear sliding glass door was and the outside floodlight switches. I switched on the lights and looked out the sliding glass door toward the basement Bilco doors. There was nobody there. I looked closer and could see fresh footprint tracks in the snow coming from the small path in the woods, leading right up to the basement doors. There was no snow on the handle to pull the doors open, indicating that someone recently tried to open them. I saw a second set of footprints leading away from the basement doors with what is sometimes called a rooster tail, indicating someone ran as fast as they could away from the house. I stayed away until almost dawn, leaving the floodlights turned on to the back side of the house. I decided to follow the tracks into the woods at daybreak, but the newly fallen snow and blowing wind had covered them up completely. After I made it a few feet into the woods, I concluded whoever it was trying to break in probably heard my 240 body charging down the hallway inside the house, and they ran off into the woods before I was able to get to the sliding glass door and turn on the lights. I decided to not call the police since nothing was damaged or stolen. From that day on, I made sure to keep all the doors locked and no longer left the garage open all day unless I was working there. 5 years later, I sold the house without any further incidents occurring since that one particular event.